check this out. The gloss coat is done. This board is super smooth and shiny. Smooth as ice. Now there's a little bit of dust in the finish, and while I could just leave it, just feather in the rail where the tape line is, square off the back rail, and call this board done, I'm going to go the extra step of compounding, sanding, compounding, and polishing the gloss coat to truly give a showroom finish. The steps to do this are very similar to polishing or sanding automotive clear coat. If any of you guys have ever done that, I have. You typically showroom finishes for cars anyway, they remove that kind of orange peel on clear coat. That's what we're going to do here as well. Now, you totally could just leave this as is and just go surf it. But I want to take that extra step. So let's get to it. I'm going to hit it with probably, I'm going to say 400 sandpaper, maybe 320. Then hit it with 600, 800 progressively finer pieces of sandpaper. It pains me actually to hit this with sandpaper, even though how nice and shiny this looks right now. But we'll get a much better finish if we do follow these additional steps just to get that showroom finish. So up to 600, I'll probably go, well, 600, 800, 1,000, 1,200. And after 1,200, I'll probably hit it with a compound. I'm going to try out some new compound that I have here somewhere. I'm going to try out this stuff here. This stuff's made by Norton, Liquid Ice. It's an automotive polish compound. I know there's specific ones for polishing epoxies as well. I don't have the epoxy polish stuff, if you could believe that. So I'm just going to use automotive compound, which works just as well. So we'll give this a try, have it using a polisher. All right, so let's get to it. I'm going to run this on low RPM just to get this going, just to smooth it out using 320. So I just wanted to show you really quickly, right here, you can see it might have looked really super glossy and smooth, but in reality, once I hit it with the pad, it's not. You can see that there's raised bumps and it's a little wavy, and that's what I'm removing right now, and that's what we're going to remove when we hit the wet sanding stage, which will be coming out very shortly. So I'm just going to hit this a bit more with the disc sander just to remove this, and wet sanding. when your sandpaper starts getting clogged up like that and you can't wire brush this off, change it because it'll just save you time. This isn't going to sand anything when it starts looking like that. Now that I have all the flats sanded, I'm going to switch over, sand the rails, start wet sanding. But overall, this board's looking great. It looks super smooth now. I'm super happy with this. Now I'm going to wet sand the rail. I'm going to get rid of this tape line here where the epoxy seam kind of meets in the middle on the rail. Just going to wet it down, wet sand it with some 320, 400. So what I'm trying to do here with 320 is on this whole board, I hit it with the polisher, with the pad, with 320, sanded out any of the ridges, any bumps, which should be pretty minor because the Glosscoat should be fairly smooth. And then on the rail here, I'm just going through and making sure to get rid of any of the shiny spots, any lumps and bumps, anything that might pick up on your eye that looks slightly different than the rest of the board. Go over the whole board until you accomplish that. And then I'm going to switch to the 400, do the same thing. But at that point, I'm not really removing as much material. I'm just removing the scratches put in by the 320. Then I'm going to go up to 600, 800, 1000, and so on. And where I'm wet sanding, I'm just wiping this down, having a look. And this side looks really good. So I'm going to just finish up, and then we'll switch over to the 400. It's pretty boring. Continue on. That's how you do it. But from now on, hand sand, pad, maybe folded up sandpaper, but don't use the power sander anymore. So back here, I'm going to just shape the hard edge with the 320. I've already done the bottom. Now I'm just going to do the side. It's got a nice sharp edge back here now that blends into the rest of the rail. Alright, 1000 grit. We're getting up there in the grits. It's looking pretty good. Nice and smooth but matte. I'm gonna hit this with the 1000. Just wiping it down just to have a look at it, let it dry off. Looks very smooth, very even. Alright, we're getting up there, 1200. Already the board is starting to look really nice. It's starting to look shiny. Alright, so that was a lot of sanding. Like, my least favorite part of building surfboards, as I've mentioned before in a lot of my other videos. But it is what's going to give you the most awesome, professional looking finish. So now this is sanded up to 1200. It's looking kind of matte. I have 1500 and 2000 sandpaper, but the compound that I have will take out scratches up to 1200. So I'm going to start with that. I'm going to hit it with the compound and it should start popping. I'm going to start with a wool pad and then switch over probably to something like a foam pad or maybe hand polish it. We'll see. I'll probably use the machines actually. I'm going to use my buffer with on the main part of the board with a wool pad, and also on the rails and stuff I'll either do by hand or I'll use my random orbital sander with a wool pad as well. I used to use this Meguiar's compound. That worked really well. But now I'm trying this other stuff here, this Norton Liquid Ice. It's supposed to take out scratches up to 1200. Not everyone will have a polisher like this, and as I mentioned in the sanding videos, you don't have to have one of these. You could totally use a random orbital sander. This thing is the most versatile sander ever, in my humble opinion. So with the hook and loop Velcro system, you can buy a polishing pad, a wool pad kind of like that, and you can just stick that on. That was kind of cool. Definitely some pressure there. Now I'm just going to blend in this edge here. Because I put a gloss coat on this, it added a little bit, and when I started sanding through, I kind of had to actually cut into the fin box just to open it back up. Next time I might leave it up a little bit higher, but I didn't want to leave it so high that I would lose a bit of material and then leave the screw hole or the grub screw not enough, I guess, area for the thread to grab onto. I've had issue with that in the past, so I'd rather have to cut into the fin box and just touch this up right now. Just feathering this in real gently. And then continue polishing. I think I'm in focus. Well, that finishes the chambered wooden surfboard build. You know, not too bad for construction lumber purchased at the building supply store. I'm totally stoked at how well this board came out. Overall, I didn't run into any problems, especially around warpage. I was a little worried about that, but that wasn't an issue. I will say, though, that it takes a lot more time to make this wooden surfboard than a foam surfboard. But I think the end result is like totally worth it. The skills from making foam surfboards really translates over to making a wooden surfboard, I think. And the method is slightly different, but really the techniques are very similar. So I'm going to make one final video from start to finish of the whole build process. I'll call it the, I don't know, Cole's Notes or Reader's Digest version of the build. I could have just made one video on how to make this surfboard, but my aim for these types of videos is for people who want to make a surfboard but don't know where to start or don't know all the skills or techniques on how to do it. While researching and when I was learning how to build surfboards, I found that most videos don't go into enough detail. And while helpful, I ended up having to figure a lot of things out on my own. So my intention is to include as much detail as possible without becoming too repetitive. I know some of my videos can become quite long, but you know, you can fast forward through the sections that you're not interested in. Overall, I had a blast making this surfboard and this video series as well. And I hope you guys found it interesting and useful, and I hope you enjoyed it. So check out some of my previous foam surfboard build videos on my channel too. And also, I make videos on all kinds of things on this channel, so check those out as well if you're interested. So thanks so much for watching this video series, and subscribe to my channel if you aren't, and hit that like button if you like this video. So all that's left to do is go surf this surfboard. But it's a little cold right now, so I'm not going to do that yet. But I will, and I'll post hopefully some videos, maybe riding this board. So anyways, thanks so much. Until the next video series, or videos, or whatever else I post on this channel. Bye for now.